Hey guys, we have a transformative week full of planetary transits. We have some interesting stuff going on. The Sun is going into Cancer and Venus is going into Gemini, which is going to cause the need for more emotional security to boost our confidence and help us be more aware that we need to open up our options when it comes down to finances and relationships. With the vibes on the graph, we have an interesting mix this week. This week is a little bit odd in terms of transits because it's kind of a short week. We have more moon transits than anything else, but we do have a few minor alignments and a few regular alignments to go with that. Our mental energy is going to peak and valley throughout this week, so this is going to be a week of heavy thinking, a lot of communication, figuring out our next steps, where we're going, where we're headed, how to make a solid game plan for ourselves, and become more focused rather than being scattered. A majority of that mental energy is happening from the 23rd to the 25th. There's some earlier in the week on the 20th and then a bunch on the 22nd to about the 23rd. So it's peaky and valleying. And on top of that, at the end of the week, it is mixed in with some solitude energy. I mean, we do have some harder alignments at the end of the week. This is going to be one of those weeks where you're needing to take a step back possibly and just have some contemplation. The Sun's going to be going into Cancer, so a lot of our focus is going to go inward and emotionally in terms of the way we behave and our ego and things like that. So this could be a time where you're kind of doing that and taking a little bit of time to yourself, doing a little more self-care and just becoming more reflective. There's a little bit of emotional sensitivity mixed in with mental energy, mixed in with good luck energy, and mixed in with romantic energy. So again, this week is going to have its weird tone to it. It is going to be mixed bag. There are going to be some triggery moments, but there are going to be some moments where you're going to feel more pumped and enthusiastic. The romantic energy has a lot to do with stuff that's going on with Venus, so it can definitely bring in some intensity when it comes to relationships, but in a way that's actually enjoyable for people rather than being stressful. And with that good luck energy, we might have better opportunities to go after some of the things that we want or have some luck land in our lap. And there's some psychic energy that's going on from the 21st all the way up until the 24th. It hits its peak at the 22nd. And with this energy, we could feel more receptive to psychic vibes. We could be experiencing intuition. Our gut instincts are on fire throughout this week. This could be a week of having those dreams that are just prophetic or they feel very real. This has been a theme that's been popping up over the last month with the psychic energy. So there's been a huge amount of psychic waves just coming in and out over the last month, which, you know, sometimes in Gemini season, because we're leaving Gemini season, I don't usually see that as often. So it's very interesting to see. And obviously we're coming into Cancer season, and I would expect that more in Cancer season, but we're getting it nonetheless, and so you may be more of a sponge, and so of course with that, always protect your energy the best way you can. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting week for sure. Let's look at these next bunch of days and see what we can expect. As a reminder, don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps this channel grow. And if you'd like to support the work of this channel, you could do so by buying me a fresh cup of coffee. There's a link in the description box below. On the 21st, the Sun is going to go into Cancer. Happy birthday, Cancers! It's Cancer season! It's now you guys' time to shine. As we leave the hyperactive, talkative, communicative, curious vibes of Gemini to a more mellow, let's get comfortable and in touch with our emotions approach. This is a time where our confidence really benefits from emotional fulfillment, emotional security, having the right people around us, doing cool things around our home, and overall just making sure our personal life is in check. Now, this is not to say that all of a sudden we're going to lock ourselves up in our houses and become hermits, but in Cancer season, our focus does go more on our private life. Of course, obviously, there's always socializing and fun summer activities. Cancer season comes at the height of the barbecue season, which I've always found to be fascinating. You start seeing people have more cookouts at that point in time, having people over, having like summer parties at their home. Here in the States, we celebrate 4th of July, which is about getting together with the people you care about the most and enjoying Independence Day with food, festivities, conversation, and fireworks and things like that. And so it's very Cancerian. So during this time, our focus could really go on our relationships. And by that, I mean all kinds of relationships, not just our romantic ones. It can go on our immediate family. It can go on our friends that we consider family. In Cancer energy, we look at our tribe and the people we consider our tribe. So this could be a time where you're having more get-togethers with those types of people. And it doesn't have to be at home. It could be just fun summer activities, reconnecting with people that you consider to be family, and even creating new bonds with people who can potentially be that for you. With this energy, we get a lot of emotional fulfillment and confidence from those types of relationships. which is comforting and brings in a sense of security that we're not alone in this world. And a lot of time in Cancer energy, we need that in order to feel that sense of safety. And of course, to have a successful personal life. So this could be a time where you're hyper focused on those things and wanting to work on that and making sure you have those people around you, whether again, it be, family itself, your soul family, your friends you consider family, and a romantic relationship as well. Cancer energy is about coming home to something good after being out in that cold, cruel world where you have to work and grind and deal with all types of nonsense. And so when you come home, it's your sanctuary. And when you come home, you're wanting to be surrounded by those loved ones in order to feel safe, secure, and soothed. So we'll be craving a lot of that. Because this is an energy where we get in touch with our emotions, we could feel more compassionate than we normally do. So this could be a time where, we're being more understanding. We're taking the time out to listen to people. We're taking the time out to be more receptive and care for other people's needs. In other words, this could come off in a way of nurturing people. And nurturing people could be anything from just doing little things for them. Again, making sure you're attending to their emotional needs and making sure they're okay, showing them empathy and compassion. Cooking for them, making sure they have a comfortable place to sit, making sure they have a comfortable place to stay. Just showing people that they have support and that they have someone that they can actually count on, because we do have a tendency to worry about others within this energy and we want to take care of their needs. And that could be in the reverse order. That could be other people doing the same for you. That could be other people coming from a place of caring and really being helpful, which is also a very lovely feature in this energy. Another thing that comes up in this energy is humor. And I know that surprises people, but there are certain signs that generally surprise people when you hear that they have a sense of humor. But in this Cancerian energy, there tends to be a lot of that's going on. So you end up spreading all of these good vibes through humor and cracking jokes, not taking yourself so seriously. Some of it comes from a place of wanting to cheer people up and get them out of a mood. So there may be just these moments where you're getting pulled out of a mood because someone is recognizing that, there's something going on with you and you could use a good laugh. So that tends to come up a lot in this energy. We tend to need a lot of self-care within this energy. And that can come in so many forms, from just being outdoorsy, just getting some sun, getting out there in nature, treating yourself to the spa, having some quiet time and escaping with a book, and especially just hanging out by water. Just to relax, even if it's sitting by the water, that could be relaxing. It could also be floating in the water, just to de-stress. A lot of people do those float rooms. So this could be a time where you're experimenting with that because it's supposed to be very de-stressing and a good way to just calm your emotions. And that self-care can be something spiritual too. Help you connect with your mind, body, and spirit, and balance your vibes so you're feeling less intense emotions. In this energy, we really look at where our priorities are and make sure we're being responsible to the people that are around us. So this could be a time where you're getting your priorities straight and being more responsible for the people that you're dedicated to. Of course, there's always a lower vibration, as there is in any sign change. And with this, again, emotions come up in this energy, and emotions are great. We need to be connected to our emotions. We cannot dull our emotions. It's actually really bad to dull your emotions and numb your emotions, which is something that does not happen in Cancer energy. This is where sometimes we have the problem, because a lot of the times we can become very hypersensitive in this energy and overly emotional to a point where it can be intense and a lot to deal with. Our emotions tend to fluctuate in this energy, which is one of the reasons why a lot of Cancers find ways to ground their energy, because they have such intense emotions that are always ebbing and flowing. They're ruled by the moon, so of course they go through phases when it comes down to their emotions. So this could be a time where that could be more heightened than normal. One of the other things we have to look at is this is an energy, again, that's very responsible and caring and emotionally dedicated. And sometimes within this energy, we have to look at where we might be going overboard in that area. In other words, we need to make sure that we're not neglecting ourselves in order to make everybody else happy. As a result, it ends up being very depleting. You can care, but you do want to make sure you're not taking on other people's responsibilities and emotions. We also have to be aware of issues with control within this energy. In a lot of ways within this energy, needing to keep everything stable and nice and safe can sometimes lead to being overbearing in certain situations. So we have to be mindful of that as well. And we also have to make sure that we're not acting in a way that's passive aggressive due to being disappointed, because a lot of the time in this energy, emotions build up because nothing's things being said. And if somebody is either irritating you or doing something that makes you uncomfortable, it might build up until it becomes an explosive thing. So you just want to be aware of that. And you want to be aware of a little bit of retaliation, because sometimes that can happen in this energy due to feeling wronged and feeling emotional or reacting impulsively because of emotions. So do the best you can when this energy hits. Other than that, Cancer season is pretty epic. It's pretty amazing. And so let's enjoy ourselves. On that same day, Venus is going to make a trine with Pluto. So in this energy, this is one of those Venus-Pluto connections that's not super extreme. And I say not super extreme, it's not extreme in the sense where it's too intense in a toxic way. This is more like intensity that people want. A lot of people want intensity in their love life, and they want it to be healthy, of course. They don't want it to be toxic, and this is one of those alignments where it can bring that. So if you're single, this could bring in somebody where you feel like it's a fated situation and it's not something that's out of control. It's something that's definitely unsuitable relationship-wise. It tends to bring in those all or nothing types. So if that's your thing, then that's going to be amazing. If you're already in a committed relationship, this could rev up the intensity and passion within the relationship, and also make it very easy to commit within that relationship. If you're not completely committed yet, if you're just in a dating situation and it's turning into something serious, this could bring about commitment in that. Good for transforming things within our love life, but it's also good for transforming things within our career as well. This is one of those energies where it's great for gaining control over your finances, gaining control over what's going on within your career or what direction you're heading with that, or just making the changes that are necessary so that way you can move forward on those things. So this definitely gives more control to those things you want to transmute within your love life, career, and finances. So let's use that to our advantage. If you've been looking for something compelling in your love life and career, on the 22nd, Venus goes into Gemini, which should give us a nice dose of stimulating energy in those areas. And this is an extra dose of fun and much needed fun that comes with this energy. Venus in Gemini tends to be a delightful energy, but about every 8 years or so, it tends to be a harder energy because Venus happens to go retrograde in Gemini every 8 years, along with a few other signs that happen to be on the Venus star point, which is Aries, Capricorn, Leo, and Scorpio. But we have another 6 years or so before we have to worry about that in Gemini. In the meantime, this is a lovely energy. Our need for social stimulation is going to get very strong within this energy. This is definitely in terms of our friendships, but also our love life, also other things, because this is the kind of energy, this is the kind of Venus that is very versatile when it comes down to what it needs and what it wants. So we could feel the need to socialize with our friends. We could feel the need to have some sort of interaction when it comes down to romance, and not just your typical interaction when it comes to romance. Yes, the flirting will definitely happen because it's a very flirty time, especially with the Venus in Gemini, but it's definitely more on the level of having intellectual conversations and getting stimulated by that, because this tends to bring out the sapiosexual side of us. And what that means is we tend to be more turned on by intellect rather than just appearances. So you can meet somebody who stimulates you mentally that you end up becoming interested in romantically as a result. This could be a time where you are meeting more intellectual types. You're meeting people who can actually hold a conversation. And it may not always be intellectual conversation. It could be witty banter. It could be sarcasm, because that tends to be revved up in this energy. Meeting people that you can match wits with and go back and forth with, that could also be another attraction factor within this. Because this is a Mercury-ruled Venus, things come easy in terms of communication and in terms of mental thought. So we can find ourselves enjoying complex things, anything that's intellectually stimulating. We can become very curious when it comes down to learning things and just gaining new information on things. So this could be a time where you're enjoying educational stuff or buying courses for yourself, just trying to learn something new. And when that ties in with the communication, this could be a very revved up time in terms of communication, because again, we get a lot of fulfillment from communication within this Venus. And it doesn't have to always be your regular communication through phone. It could be text message. It could be through DM. It could be meeting new people on the internet. This is an incredibly friendly version of Venus. So it could be easier just to communicate with other people or talk to other people, or just people seem to be more friendlier than they typically are with this sort of energy. So this is absolutely a time for making new connections. And again, whether that's romantic, whether that's friendship-wise, even business-wise or networking partners-wise, this could be a time where you're meeting people like that because it's incredibly easy to communicate with people. This Venus helps us become more ambidextrous when it comes down to our personal life, when it comes down to career stuff, and with our love life as well. And so with this, we're able to gain more variety in our lives. We're able to juggle more. So multitasking does come easier within this energy. This can translate to work. This could be a situation where you're able to juggle more than one job. So this could be a time where you're interested in just taking certain things on the side, which could be side hustles and freelancing and things of that nature. When it comes to our love life, this is the type of energy where you keep your options open. So if you're single, this is going to be a time where you're more open to variety in your love life and you're looking at all your options. You're not just putting all your eggs in one basket. You're not just picking one person and sticking to that. I know some people may frown upon that, but if you're single, that's going to be the time where you can do that. Obviously, if you're in a relationship, that's pretty bad. If you're in an open relationship, then that's fine. But if you're in a relationship that's committed and monogamous, absolutely not. But if you're single, this is a great time to actually weigh out all of your options, look at all your options, take more options, so that way you can pick and choose what might be right or who might be right for you. And this is coming from a proud owner of Venus and Gemini. I have Venus and Gemini and Gemini rising. So when I was single, that is exactly what I did. And it actually helped a lot because it taught me a lot about myself and what I don't want and what I want within a relationship. But transit-wise, it's obviously very different. So these are some of the moods that can come up within this energy. This is a great Venus for being fair about things and seeing both sides of the equation when it comes down to some of your relationships. And bringing it back to socializing, this is also the type of Venus where you might find yourself being open when it comes to that too. In other words, you become more socially fluid. And socially fluid meaning you can move through different environments and different groups of people and be friendly with all of them and still fit into all of those categories. So it's a very multifaceted Venus, and because of that you may be able to move through social groups easily. But this is definitely the type of Venus that's going to get you curious about trying out new things when it comes down to your love life and when it comes down to your finances and when it comes down to the way you socialize and the way you seek out enjoyment. Of course, there is a shadow side as there is to any sign change, and with this could be one of those times where you're a little bit more all over the place than normal. In other words, with the Gemini energy combined with Venus, it tends to be a little bit scattered. So love life wise, you might be all over the place if you're experiencing some of the lower vibrations, and it could have you going back and forth about people and not being able to make a choice or not being able to make a decision. Or it could bring out the inner player in you where you're finding yourself going back and forth to person like a hummingbird. It could also bring in those types of people as well. There's a tendency to get bored very easily with this Venus, and again, when it comes down to relationships, that can be very problematic, especially if you're in a romantic relationship or you've already committed to someone. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but a lot of the times there tends to be boredom if there's not constant fun or stimulation going on during this transit. So it could be one of those things where you kind of flake out on certain things, or you just kind of flake out on certain people romantically. And with this, there's a tendency to deal with more ghosters than normal. So there could be situations where it seemed like there was a connection and you're just not hearing back from the person, or there hasn't been any messages or any replies, or it's just very inconsistent. And you also want to make sure you're not overly juggling too when it comes down to work, because you could take on more than you can bite off more than you can chew sometimes with this Venus. And so you may be taking on more than you can handle, and that's going to result in burnout. When it comes to career, this is the type of Venus that wants to be the butcher, baker, and candlestick maker. So you really want to be careful that you're not taking on more than you can handle and you're wearing too many hats, because again, it can cause some sort of blunder, resulting in embarrassment and stress. And there can be a tendency to be a little bit aloof when it comes down to relationships as well, and connecting more on a superficial level than you are on a connective level, on a deep level with people, because things become kind of surface within this Venus. So it could be hopping back and forth from person to person and really not getting too deep with them. Other than that, this is going to be fun. This is going to be great for using all the positive attributes that this Venus has to offer us and allowing ourselves to be more versatile in our love lives, career, and social life. On the 23rd, the Sun is making a semi-square with Uranus. So this is the kind of energy that can cause us to feel a little bit off guard when it comes down to confidence issues, when it comes down to our ego. So there could be something that can suddenly kind of shift things. We could be in a good mood this day and then something kind of turns it and we feel a little bit more triggered than normal. This could also cause a sudden shift in plans as well. So this is one of those energies that throws us kind of off guard. It just kind of creates a little bit of weirdness, and weird events tend to happen. Things tend to get a little bit glitchy and buggy within this energy, which is going to cause us to feel thrown for a loop on this day. The 23rd also has a situation with Venus semi-square Chiron, and so with that, this has a lot to do with our love lives. This has a lot to do with career stuff. It has a tendency to cause us to dwell on past disappointment in relationships and career goals, where we focus on the things that didn't work out, the things that affected our self-esteem, the things that made us question our value and question our worth. So this combined with that Uranus energy can really make for a day where our confidence is going all over the place and we're just feeling very off kilter. So some of the best things that we can do on that day is try to ground our energy the best way we can. Do things to boost our confidence, and understand that sometimes when things don't go as planned, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with us, but it could just mean that the circumstance or the relationship wasn't for us. And understanding we can always reschedule our plans for a day that's just better for us. And on the 24th, Mercury is going to make a sesquiquadrate with Pluto, and this energy in itself is very polarizing communication-wise, so you could find yourself in communication with people who are saying the wrong things, people who speak in a way that's rude and maybe inflammatory in some sort of way, or they're making the conversation about them and they're trying to dominate the conversation and overtalk other people and be disrespectful. But it is definitely a power struggly energy of going back and forth with someone who is just trying to have their way. Sometimes it could be just talking about topics you're not comfortable with, and people bring those things up regardless if someone may say or set boundaries and tell them that they're not wanting to speak about those things. So it could be stuff like that that goes on within this energy, so it's very uncomfortable. The weekend definitely doesn't have the most fun tone. Luckily we have that Venus in Gemini, although Venus is connecting with that Chiron, so it can be a little bit sticky in the beginning, but for the most part, all we can do is balance ourselves the best way we can, ground our energy, and set the most unstoppable boundaries possible. Anyway, I hope you all have the best week ever. Later, guys.